Rugby Championship, folks. Team of the week for round number 2. Some hard picks because, goodness me, who do you put on the right wing? We will get to that shortly, but the right wing, every team had a good performance out on the right wing this week, but yeah, you can only pick one. We'll go through the 15 and some honourable mentions at the end. You guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would pick if you were picking them. Starting with the front row, and I am going to go with an All Blacks guy at number 1, an old Ethan de Groot. I'm pretty sure he won a scrum penalty against Franz Malherbe, which is almost reason alone to get yourself in the team of the week. But the All Blacks scrum stood up pretty well. Lomax and de Groot, I think, up against a pretty good Springboks pack. I think they can hold their heads pretty well, man, because for quite a while you've looked at the All Blacks props and gone, there's no Tyke Furlong there. There's no, as I said, Franz Malherbe, there's no Stephen Kitsoff there. But the All Blacks props are doing all right. De Groot, 2 carries, 4 passes, so getting his hands on the pill a wee bit. 6 from 7 tackles, so defensively pretty sound. He's credited with a couple of line-out wins as well, but some of those line-outs did get a little bit messy at times. So he conceded 1 penalty, but overall, his job, prop the scrum, did it pretty well. Like, at least they were getting a pretty bloody good stable platform, and they won the odd penalty as well. So, yeah, really, really promising stuff for Ethan de Groot. His kind of trajectory in terms of his career has been tracking really well in the past, 18 months by this point. Other prop I'm going to go with is an Aussie, an old Alan Alatoa. Now, he did concede a few penalties, which is the area of concern for not only him, but the entire Wallabies squad. Goodness gracious me, their discipline's been disappointing, but boy, did he tackle the house down. He gets 19 from 20. Now, the one that he missed is pretty costly because Montoya goes over from very close range. Montoya is a try-scoring machine for the Pumas and for Leicester Tigers, where he plays his club rugby. So I can't fault him too much. He makes 19, which is certainly more than any other prop got close to this week. So, real tackling machine. It's a pity he couldn't stop Montoya. As I said, he's a hard man to get a hold of. He does win a turnover, though. He has a couple of carries. He has a couple of passes. 3 penalties is the area where you've really got to look at with Alatoa and think, come on, man. I think at times their scrum was looking like getting on top, but then every now and again they would get one for guys kind of going onto their knees early, so it was a bit of a battle, but work rate wise, I don't think you can fault Alan for that one. So yeah, we'll see how he goes when Tupou gets back in. Remember, Tupou was playing for Australia A the other day. If those 2 guys can get back, keep the discipline good, then the Aussies at the World Cup will be looking a bit better than they did at the weekend. Hooker, speaking of Montoya, I couldn't not go with Montoya, man. He is not like the most kind of outspoken leader. Like, he's a bit of a contrast from Matera. Like, they interviewed both Matera and Montoya after the game at Sydney. And Matera seems like a more kind of jovial, better kind of just, I don't want to say better speaker, but he speaks with a little bit more confidence, whereas, or at least, I don't know, what's the right word for it? Montoya's very kind of, I don't want to say monotone, but he's very calm. He seems to be one of those leaders who just leads from the front more than kind of what he says. He's less flair like a Matera and just an absolute work rate player, and that is epitomized by his game. I said he gets that try from close range. He gets 6 carries for 7 meters, so he's just kind of burrowing over. He gets 6 passes, so he likes getting his hand on the ball. But crucially for the Pumas, line-out operated at 100%, which has not been always the case. So they'll be really, really pleased with how their line-out went. He made 5 tackles and missed 3, so he'll be looking to improve that. And he did concede a penalty, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good captain's knock from the Pumas hooker. Locks-wise, I'm going for an All Black, an old Scotty Barrett. Nothing kind of outstanding like last week. More workmanlike, I would say, which is, again, not a bad thing. 6 carries for 4 meters. Like, that's not a huge amount of meterage per carry, but he's looking to get his hands on the pill. 8 passes, though, is certainly a solid effort, and he wins 4 lineouts, so he's just behind old BRODIE RETALLICK in that regard for the All Blacks. And crucially for the All Blacks, he makes 10 out of 10 of his tackles. There were a few guys this week guilty of falling off a few, but nobody can say that about Scotty Barrett. He does have a penalty conceded and 1 turnover conceded, but overall, it was a pretty steady and reliable performance from old Scott Barrett, who I saw at the weekend as well. He was at the All Blacks experience, which I popped into, and he's a big human. I'm almost as tall as him, but he is very, very bulky. I mentioned to Tony, if you from Distracted Sports, if you pushed Scott Barrett, I feel like you would go backwards because he is just a huge, huge human, bigger than he appears on TV. The other lock I've gone with is indeed his locking partner from the All Blacks, old BRODIE RETALLICK. He was back to his commanding best. Goodness gracious me, BRODIE RETALLICK. If you're looking for a complete package guy for the second row, you would do, hard pressed to go past guys who are better than BRODIE RETALLICK. I mean, there are some who kind of question his form after his kind of couple of years in Japan. When he comes back to New Zealand, maybe saying he wasn't having quite the same impact on the game. 10 runs, 37 metres for a lock is a phenomenal return. He loves getting his hands on the ball as well. Scott Barrett had 8 passes. BRODIE had 9, including an offload. He wins 5 lineouts, which is 1 more than Scotty Barrett, and he gets a lineout steal. Remember, the Springboks have kind of prided themselves on secure lineout ball, so to pinch one of those, although, as I said, the secure lineout ball thing for the Boks the last 2 weeks now has not quite been where they would like it to be. But BRODIE gets a lineout steal, 8 from 9 tackles. He does concede 2 penalties, but overall, man, BRODIE RETALLICK in the air with his tackles, with his carries, passing game, just involved in absolutely a bit of everything. So really, really pleasing for him. Bodes well for the All Blacks. Loose forwards, I've gone with Shannon FRIZELL as your blindside flanker. Goodness gracious me. He was a man possessed at the start of this game. Like 9 defenders beaten. All of them in the first half is still the top guy for the week. That's unbelievable. He scores a try where he just flattens Billy LaRue. I mean, there's a big size difference there, but goodness gracious me. Shannon FRIZELL, nothing was stopping him from getting over the line for that one. 14 carries for 43 metres. He was just powering. He does concede 1 penalty with that dumb high shot on Visa after Visa had knocked it on, which was not smart, but then he immediately wins a turnover to kind of make up for it. He's got 6 passes and offload. He wins a line out. 12 from 15 tackles makes him New Zealand's top tackler of the week. So most defenders beaten, most tackles, wins a line out, like I said. Like, goodness gracious. If you wanted a guy to secure that number 6 jersey for the All Blacks going forward, I think he is pretty much well and truly got that jersey in his hands. With very little time to go between here and the World Cup. So Shannon FRIZELL, he was on fire. Open side, I've ended up going with a Springbok, an old Quacker Smith. He was also playing like a bit of a man possessed. Like, of all the guys from the Springbok side who were the early travellers, a lot of them looked not quite match ready in the scheme of things. Like, the way they started, they were caught a little bit flat-footed. But Quacker Smith, I still thought, had a pretty bloody good game. He gets a bit of stick as well for not being this kind of big behemoth of a human. But he's very athletic and he's a very, very dangerous customer. He finishes with 8 runs, 34 metres, including a couple of defenders beaten and a clean break, which pretty much leads to his try at the end of the game. Like, loose ball is on the ground for very little time, and Quacker Smith just pounces on that thing. He grabs it, and he's just gone. Like, he powers over Will Jordan. Like, Will Jordan had a pretty good game, but he couldn't stop Quacker Smith from that kind of range. He has 3 passes and offload. He's got 14 out of 15 tackles. So he's one of your top tacklers of the round as well. Absolutely, absolutely just commanding on defence. He does have 1 penalty conceded, which I'm pretty sure cost his team 3 points. But overall, man, Quacker Smith in what was not a great day for the Boks, I still looked pretty good. And number 8 is maybe not a kind of traditional pick in Martín Gonzalez. I like that guy better on the flank than I do at number 8. And they didn't really play him like a traditional number 8. Like, the ball carrying, they kind of left largely to Matera. He had a lot more carries than either of the flankers. Either the other flanker, Grondona, or Gonzalez did. I mean, he still has 9 with 16 metres and beats a defender, but it's not like a huge ball carrying number 8 shift from Gonzalez. He does get a try which is the match winner. So that's a kind of a big plus in getting his name on the board. Like the confidence to dive over. If he gets held up, it's game over. Pretty much they lose it. But he's got the confidence to dive over and he gets it done. So it was funny as well because like Bertrano, the halfback, was it Bertrano or was it the substitute halfback? I can't remember. I think it was Bertrano. Was looking to kind of go in and grab the ball, and Gonzalez just pushed him out of the way ever so slightly, just like, no, I've got this. So great bit of confidence, and he loves getting his hands on the ball, be it in the air or be it on the ground. 12 passes for a number 8. I mean, Frizzell has 6 and Squawka Smith has 3. So he's got more passes than both those guys put together. Admittedly, the Argentinians had a lot of ball. And he wins 8 lineouts. Like, that's not the shift that you necessarily expect to see from Juan Martín Gonzalez. 8 lineouts and a lineout steal. Like, unbelievable. So as what he maybe didn't get in kind of traditional ball carrying and tackling the house down, geez, he won some lineout ball and disrupted the Aussie lineout. So I think the next best was RETALLICK with 5. So 8 for Gonzalez is a huge shift. He does concede a couple of penalties. He does miss a couple of tackles. He's 5 from 7. But overall, not a traditional performance, but I still think he puts his hand up in a pretty good way for the Pumas. Into the backs. Halfback, I was torn between 2 guys, and I ended up going with old Nick White. He scored a pretty sweet try as well. I mean, Aaron Smith scored one. Aaron Smith got a pretty nice pass on him, didn't he? But Nick White's one was a proper bit of heads-up rugby. Scrum, 5 metres out, starts to go left, and then just sees the way the Pumas' defence shifts with him and has got the speed, the presence of mind to change direction and just goes over a gaping gap in that Pumas defensive line to get his team back into the game because they were not doing that well. So great try from Nick White. He only makes 10 metres and has 6 runs, but that clean break is his try. That's a key moment in that game. He has 39 passes. He has 5 kicks. I think he kicked all right. Defensively, 4 from 4 tackles and wins a turnover, so that's pretty solid. He couldn't stop De La Fuente's try when he went between him and who was the other one he was with? One of the forwards was it Valentini. But yeah, overall, I thought White epitomised by that try, but also his all-round play with limited ball. I thought did a pretty decent job for the Wallabies. So there you go. That's your number 9. And number 10, I've gone with the All Blacks guy, Richie Mo'unga. Steps into the vacated shoes of D-Mac, who didn't make the team, and he did all right. Man, he did all right. Kicked his goals. I think he missed 1, but kicked some goals. Kicked some goals that he might have missed in the past. You feel like he looked pretty confident with his kicking, which was really pleasing to see. And he scored a pretty sweet try as well. Scrum move, Adi Savias hits him up and he backs himself to go over. He's got 5 runs and 4 defenders beaten. So that's Mo'unga doing what Mo'unga does, although he doesn't kind of really crank through a heck of a lot of meterage, but he doesn't concede any penalties. He doesn't concede any turnovers. He launches a quick throw to keep the kind of tempo of the game high against South Africa. He finishes with 26 passes and 8 kicks. Kicks his goals, like I said. I mean, he did miss 1 tackle on a charging Cheslin Colby right at the death of the game. But, I mean, Colby was on fire as well, so I won't begrudge him too much for that one. But, yeah, a wee bit more confident with Mo'unga there. I was a little bit... I mean, I always knew he was going to play. I thought maybe D-Mac deserved another shot, but, yeah, Mo'unga, I guess, shows why he is the incumbent in that number 10 jersey for the All Blacks. Midfield, and I've cheated a little bit. Karevi starts at 12, plays most of the game at 13 because Ikitau goes off, but I'm still chucking Karevi there at 12. Finishes the game with a try. That's the one where he's running a great support line for Quade Cooper, and he has a try assist, which is that kind of tap, pop back inside to Ikitau, goes over for a try. Does really well to keep that ball in play, so he's directly responsible for 10 of those Wallabies points. He only has 8 carries, but remember the Wallabies had bugger all ball. 19 metres is not his best shift, but still beats 3 defenders. Doesn't concede any penalties. Doesn't concede any turnovers. And in an unfamiliar, largely 13 positions, 6 from 8 tackles is not too bad. So, yeah, man. The Wallabies certainly look better when that guy's in the midfield. I haven't read any news about Ikitau, but hopefully going into the World Cup, it's those 2. We'll see what the news is with Ikitau's shoulder. 13, I ended up going with a Puma and a guy that I didn't think was kind of all that flash. at international level. But Lucio CINTI, he had a pretty good game. Try-saving tackle on Gordon was the probably the highlight-worthy moment of the match for him. I mean, Carter Gordon was gone. CINTI just desperation tackles him into touch. Absolutely saves his team for that one. And he finishes with 8 from 8 tackles. He did try to swing across to stop the Nick White try, but I think that was largely De La Fuente inside him, who'd been kind of bamboozled to go inside. So he was kind of on a bit of a hiding to nothing with that one. But 10 runs, 37 metres. Solid. Not spectacular, but solid enough. More than he's kind of had in some recent games, honestly, for the Pumas. Beats a couple of defenders, has a couple of clean breaks, passes 4 times, wins a turnover, no turnovers conceded, no penalties conceded. So yeah, pretty steady. And a try-saving tackle to cap it off. So CINTI, I apologise for doubting you. You had a good game. And another Puma, an old left wing, Mateo Carreras. It was mostly about the right wingers this week. But Mateo Carreras still took a try pretty bloody well between 2 of the Aussie forwards. It was like Leota and was it Parecki? He lined them up really well and just went through a gap. I think it was Mateo with the nice pass through to him. So took his try really well. Finishes the game with 3 defenders beaten and a clean break. The clean break's the try. He has 9 runs for 52 metres, so offensively dangerous. Makes 4 from 4 tackles. Only passes once, only kicks once. But no turnovers conceded. No penalties conceded. Danger man. Real danger man, Mateo Carreras. So very, very pleased for him. Right wing, with all those guys I had to choose from, I couldn't look past Will Jordan, man. Will Jordan's unbelievable. Will Jordan is unbelievable. He sets up 3 of the All Blacks tries. Scores 1 himself from the cross kick. He sets up the FRIZELL one, which he doesn't get an assist for because he's the one who gets the line break, passes it to Taylor, who then passes it to FRIZELL. And he has the try assist for Aaron Smith's try as well. Great line break, gets tackled by LaRue. Releases, picks it back up, goes again, and then Smith's in the support line. So, man, directly involved in so much of what the All Blacks do. 12 carries, 72 metres, 7 defenders beaten, 4 clean breaks is insane. 7 passes, like I mentioned, the try assist. 6 from 6 tackles, although he couldn't stop Quacker Smith. I don't know how that wasn't registered as a missed tackle. But, yeah, he couldn't stop Quacker Smith for that last try. Wins a quick line-out throw. Keeps the game moving. Will Jordan. He is absolutely something special. And lastly, at fullback, I went with another All Black. It's largely the All Blacks today, folks. Beauden Barrett. Beauden Barrett. Not really like a big old running game from him. He looked a bit more like that kind of Willie LaRue role, actually, for the Springboks in terms of just the pure playmaking. Like, 5 carries, 12 metres for a fullback is bugger all. He gets a clean break and a defender beaten, but 11 passes and 12 kicks. So he puts in more kicks than Mo'unga does, and just to kind of under half the amount of passes. So he's getting his hands on the ball a lot. He finishes with the try assist to Will Jordan. He's also got that wide pass to Will Jordan initially, which sets up the Aaron Smith try, so it would be like a secondary assist for BRODIE for that one. So he's just a kind of key playmaker at the back for the All Blacks, eh? You got to feel like at the moment, he's the guy the All Blacks are going to go with. That's the way they want to play. They want that playmaking role at the back. And BRODIE seems to be the guy. So a lot of us would love to see Will Jordan get a crack at fullback. But with BRODIE playing like that, doesn't seem to be likely in the short term. So that is your 15 guys, folks. Honourable mentions. Parecki for the Wallabies also tackled the house down. Had one costly error, I think, with that missed tackle for a try, but still absolutely was defensively very sound. Kitsoff won a couple of great turnovers for the Boks in the front row, which was pleasing. Lavanini, I thought, for the Pumas. In most weeks he would have been, I think I probably would have edged him for Scotty Barrett if he played on the other side, but helped stop an Aussie maul. Gave away one really dumb penalty, but overall I thought he played really well for the Pumas. The loose forwards-wise, Mateo had a good game. Savia had a good game. Grondona had a good game. And then halfback, Aaron Smith. Flip a coin. Aaron Smith or Nick White, I don't mind. I mean, when you saw Finlay Christie come on, you really missed Aaron Smith. So there was a bit of a contrast there for sure. Cooper also for the Wallabies with really limited ball played pretty well. I thought much more involved than he was the previous week. Likewise, Carter Gordon in an unfamiliar 12 played pretty well. Santiago Carreras for the Pumas ran the ship really well. Right wingers, Iskro, Nawanitawase and Colby. Goodness gracious me, the right wingers this week were phenomenal. Iskro probably should have scored that try. Colby took his one really well. Nawanitawase got a great intercept, so really take your pick. I still think Jordan's the best of the bunch. That's why he's on the board. But they all played pretty well in their roles. So there you go, folks. A lot of All Blacks, a few Pumas, a couple, or was it 3 Wallabies, and just the 1 Springbok for this week. You guys let us know your thoughts. If you want to catch up with the podcast that Tony and I run, we'll be talking about more Rugby Championship stuff early next week. So check that out. 2 Cents Gets Distracted is the name. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.